Hey y'all, so this is a new video. This is a game I played recently, and let's get into it. So I assume that y'all saw the title, which means that you know how this game ends, but either way. My opponent plays d4, I go knight f6, which is my main move. I'm trying to play the Nimzo-Indian, e6. My opponent declines and goes for knight f3, so I just switch it back to a simple queen's gambit declined. And my opponent plays this move queen c2, which is a bit strange. Looking for some lines and just trying to defend the pawn like that, but most of the time you don't defend the pawn, and it's clear my opponent wants later. But instead of obliging continuing with what my opponent wants, which was he probably wants me to play c6 and get into a worse position, I end up playing this move bishop e7 and just trying to continue and develop my pieces normally. My opponent plays g3, obviously looking for a Catalan-esque structure, but not having lost the pawn on c4. I decide not to take yet. I just castle. My opponent goes with bishop g2, and yeah, bishop g2, and the best way for me to play right now is a way that I saw actually. I saw this after the game, saw this pretty recently, but I always game review my games before I show them. But it's this move c5 that I have to play, and c5 kind of gets rid of all my issues, and I'm not actually worse anymore. This position is completely manageable. Like, I'm happy here, not here. Actually, I should probably take back with the queen, but still, I should have played c5. That's a move that honestly kind of flew into my radar during the game, and I instead go for a more closed position, which I used to play back far ago before I played the Nimzo, which is this move c6, and it enters into like a Slav defense, or Slav defense, a position that I don't normally enjoy. But what are you supposed to do? I don't really play this normally. Maybe I should. My opponent castles, and without really thinking too much, I played dc, queen takes c4, and I played this move knight bd7, and I thought this was very reasonable. And the idea was simple. My idea was to go knight b6, and I was going to hold on to the d5 square with all my might. I was just going to keep hold of this, and I'd be fine. I'd be completely fine, right? His rook comes over here, and I go knight b6, which is my plan, but as you can see, this is the wrong plan. My opponent actually gains a lot of pressure in the endgame because of this plan. And yeah, I know talking about later stages of the game already is kind of strange, but this is one of the rare exceptions where everything I do right now like directly contributes to the end game. I have to be very careful, and I really wasn't during this game. So queen c2, and I go bishop d6, developing my bishop to an active square. I thought this is reasonable. I might be playing for e5 at some point, but then I just completely missed my opponent's response, which is e4, and he's obviously threatening to play e5 and fork my pieces, and I can't allow that. So I have to go bishop c7, because if I went back to e7, then what was the point of going bishop c7? And I'm not really down to do that. Technically e7 was better. I should have admitted that I was wrong. I didn't, because I don't like being wrong. But either way, bishop e7, bishop c7, my opponent goes bishop g5, and of course I go h6. He has to take. If he doesn't, if he goes bishop h4, this position is kind of strange. g5 looks like it traps the bishop, but it really doesn't, because of this move knight g5, and this is really, really dangerous. He's going to play this move e5. He's going to bring his queen out over here, and I'm almost mated here, so I can't really do that. Either way, my opponent thought that I could. I think I obviously wasn't going to play that during the game, but he took, and play this move e5. Of course, I go queen e7, which is the best move, simply because if I went back to d8, then I would be blocking my rook, and my queen is better on this diagonal than otherwise. Now knight c3 happens. I go knight d5, of course, just putting my knight into the center. My opponent goes a3, simply. I think my opponent was thinking that my idea was to go knight b4 in some line. Maybe he thought my idea was to play bishop a5, but it really wasn't to do that. My idea was basically just to put my knight on that square and think, hey, I have a good knight. Oh, yay, decent position, even though it was simply not. I played bishop e6, and the idea was already kind of strange. The idea was to play c5 here, simply because I don't really have any other moves. My bishop is so bad, and I would have to play rook d8, bishop d7, rook c8, bishop e8 if I wanted to do anything good with my position. That's kind of the setup that I want, but still, it's very hard to get, and I have to be so careful. My opponent plays knight e4, putting the knight into the center, very reasonable, and I go rook d8, and my opponent goes for this move b4, which is already a mistake, but it's actually a mistake for a very simple reason that he didn't really continue to go for. I thought that a5 wasn't really that good. The computer thinks it is. I didn't think that it was that good because I saw this rook on the other side, and I saw a ghost here. For some reason, I thought that there was some like line where he could open it up, and since my rook wasn't defended, I would be like losing a pawn or something. Although that would never happen, and I really don't know what I saw there because I was wrong. So that's a big issue. I don't know why I didn't play a5. I instead played bishop c7, which is reasonable. It keeps the d6 square under wraps, and just tries to play bishop d7 in the future. Yeah, my opponent goes queen c5, and of course I shouldn't take the queen. I should just keep the tension. I should play the move bishop d7. I should play the move a5. I should play anything besides queen takes queen, but instead, I am an idiot and I played queen takes queen. And now my position is almost losing, actually. Because after bc5, the engine doesn't say so, but this position is impossible to play as a human being. I am feeling the pressure. My opponent's going to put a knight on d6. I'm not going to take, but that knight is going to be a really big issue in the future. If I take, he gets it past pawn, and I completely lose, and then everything just goes to shit. But I can't go like that. I have to fight back somehow. But my pawn breaks. Like if I go f6, he's not gonna care. He's not gonna even touch that. And if I go b6, b6 probably makes a little more sense, but still, it's not that important. And also, I'm weakening my c6 pawn if I'm ever gonna take. It's really, really hard to make a move for black here. I go b6, like I said, because I do want to go for this, but I'm never really threatening to take after this move. After this, I'm just not doing too hot because this pawn is super weak. He has a bind on the d6 square, and he's going to play a knight there, and it's really, really tough. So I'm never really threatening to take. I play this move b5 because what else am I supposed to do? I'm really trying to activate my bishop as well. Maybe I should have played... I don't know what I should have played. I really don't know. Because if I move my bishop to anywhere besides these squares, if I activate my bishop to a6, he takes, he wins the pawn on c6, and it just looks lost. It just looks really bad. It looks like I'm at least going to lose a pawn. The top line of the engine is actually to... actually, no, it's not the top line of the engine. Top line of the engine is play king f8 for no reason. But the second line makes more sense. The second line is rook b8 takes. I'd probably be taking back with the rook. Actually, bishop takes is better. Oh, what about this? This move? Simply bishop d7, and it thinks I have counterplay. Okay. Okay, I guess I should just go ahead and sack the pawn, but that's not very human. It's not very human to sacrifice a pawn for like very little compensation, and I don't do that because I'm not insane. I instead play b5. And the idea might be b4 at some point. I'm not sure. My opponent goes knight d6, and I go bishop a6. I think this is decent. I'm putting my bishop on a line, and I'm trying to play this move eventually, but mostly I'm trying to develop my bishop. Technically, I think rook b8 might have been better. Rook b8 might have been a better move here, but then, I mean, it's still rough. It's still so rough. My position sucks. Everything's garbage. My opponent's just going to hydraulic press me out of existence, which is where the thumbnail gets its meaning. Either way, bishop a6 happens. My opponent goes bishop e1. I go rook b8, another miss. Rook db8 is the best move. I understand, but That's really strange. The idea is to play bishop c8 and then try to push this pawn. And the reason why this rook is better on a8 is because this pawn might be pushing in the future. But still, it's very tough to play. There I go rook b8. My opponent goes knight e1, which is reasonable. He's trying to go to the b4 square and try to lock me down even more. And here I just make a stupid move. The pressure got too much for me, and I just kind of collapsed. I played bishop d6, which is obviously wrong, and I really just kind of collapsed this game because I couldn't figure out what to do. I couldn't find a move for black. Everything looked bad. I guess probably I could have played this move bishop a5. See, even that like loses. I mean, it adds +6 to the advantage, plus 0.6 to the advantage. I can't. It's so hard to make a move. So I play bishop d6 takes. I go rook b6, defending my c6 pawn, and my opponent goes with their plan of knight c2 and knight b4. But this is lost because I can't do anything. The pawn break on f6 doesn't actually ever do anything because it doesn't matter if he takes. He has these two pawns that are just dominating my position, and I just lose. I go bishop b7, and the idea is to play a5 and try to do something over there. My opponent goes knight a4, knight b4. I take. If I played a5 now, I thought that takes. Maybe takes, maybe not takes. Oh, actually the move is knight d3, and he's getting to this square. But I don't know. Maybe I was wrong. a5 didn't seem correct at the time, so I didn't play it. I took the knight, and I wanted to go rook a8 and then a5, but I don't do that yet because I go bishop c8 first. I go here first because I was afraid of this, and then somehow, like for example, if I were to play b6, just a random move, actually b6 is a really bad move, king h7, my opponent goes here, and I thought that the pin versus my bishop would be annoying in some lines, so I didn't want to ever have that happen, and instead I simply went bishop c8. My opponent goes bishop g2. I go bishop d7. My opponent goes rook a1. I of course play this move a6, simply moving my pawn up. I really would like to go a5, but the problem with a5 is that I need a way. For example, if he didn't play this, and let's just say he makes some bogus moves, a5, one more a bogus move would be ba. This position is manageable. This position is a lot more manageable than the previous one, and it's not completely lost anymore. It's still terrible, but it's not completely lost, and I would probably prefer this position to the last one. By the way, it didn't happen. All this happens. My opponent goes there, and he's trying to put another rook here and target this pawn. I instead go with f6 because I need to do something, and I thought that bringing my king might actually make a difference. My opponent goes f4, not even wanting to trade off this pawn because this pawn actually controls this square as well. So it's very important that he's not doing that. I go g5 because I have nothing else. If he takes my pawn on f6, I'm happy. Like this position, oh my gosh, this position is a lot better. There's not even any pressure anymore. It's probably going to be a draw. I'm able to win some pawns, and his pawn structure is ruined, so I would be very happy. But either way, he's not going to do that. He goes rook here. I bring my king up. He doubles up on this file, so I defend my pawn, and he has this move d5. And this is probably the last move that kind of just this is kind of what the pressure has been building up to. And I don't have a good move. I don't have a good move here. The best move I have is ed, but still I'm completely lost. And I'd love to make a video. I'd really love to make a video about how I won the game. Oh my gosh, I'm so good at this game. I'd love to do something like that, but in all honesty, this guy should probably be making the videos because I'm just completely lost here. So I take. If I take on d5, then I probably lose. Like take, he takes. This position is just bad. I didn't want to get into this. He gets these passers. Like I play this move here. He goes rook e8 check, like king d7 check. I'm not there yet. Probably have to play something like. How does he make progress here? You can probably play something like rook c7, keep the tension, and then everything is just hunky dory. And there's really nothing for me to play for. I'm just lost. Either way. That's why I didn't take. Maybe I should have. Maybe taking was the best option. But I played bishop e6 because I thought that was the best move. He wins a pawn. I take on e5, takes, and I go king g7, just really to get the bishop off the light square diagonal. I'll get my king off the light squares, and I want to play something like this. He goes bishop f4. I play something like this, but then just bishop d5, and I'm busted. I go rook e8, takes, and he has this move d7, which actually is a big mistake. It gives me some play. It gives me a good deal of play, but it's still terrible. I go rook d8. He defends his pawn. I don't know why this got a mistake. It literally is the top move of the engine. And I go king f7. Maybe I could have taken, but then e6 here. I don't like this. This doesn't look very good. He has this rook f2 move. That's why I didn't really want to do that. So instead I went king f7. The idea is to go to king e7 immediately. Takes on c4, king e7. He defends his pawn. I go for this move, rook b5. I don't think that was the best move either. I think maybe I should have just slowed down and played h5, and then maybe I could try something. Like this move doesn't ever work. This move actually just is more of like a drawish. It just completely draws the game. He takes on a6. I'm able to give him some, not there, able to give him some checks, and I'm probably going to be able to pick up one or two of his pawns, and then I'd be able to make a draw, because most of the time rook end games are a draw. These are probably one of the most drawish, except for, of course, opposite color bishops, and I have to try something like that. Like the move g4. Move g4 actually catches my eye, trying to just cut off the king, but it's much easier to just give checks until the end of time. If he ever comes here, then I have this check. What? Why is that bad? Okay. For some reason that's bad, but every move draws here. Just stay on the second rank and you're fine. Yeah, that doesn't happen though. We're gonna go back to the position. I play this move rook b5 because it attacks two pawns. He goes rook d6, and I end up taking this pawn. Probably I should have taken on b4, but you know what? It's not too big of a deal. Like if this move happens, this is a draw. This is a draw. I go a5. Okay, everything that I'm saying is wrong, but maybe this move, probably just trying to win the pawn, and yeah, I mean he takes, I take, takes, check here. This is draw. I'm really trying to make a draw, but everything doesn't work. I take on e5. He takes on a6. And I should have taken on d7 here. I didn't for some reason. Instead, I played rook e6 and offered a rook trade. I shouldn't have done this. If I took on d7 just immediately, then I would be losing the endgame, but it would be like a little bit closer. I mean, this is completely lost, but at least I can try to survive. Yeah, I go rook e6, and he goes for this move b5. If I take on d7, I thought I lost. I thought if I take on d7, I just completely lost this position. Like takes. You can just trade everything, and I'm not. Actually, I'm in time, but he's actually closer to my pawns, and he'll be winning the race. Like here takes. Well, not takes back. I'm trying to run my best, but here I can push. He's gonna win the pawn, and I mean this is a lost endgame, of course. So I play this move rook e5, attacking his pawn. He takes. His king g2. If I take on d7, I lose. Just to illustrate, rook h7 would end up winning the rook, so I don't want to do that. I go rook b7 instead, trying to win the pawn. Rook g6. I defend my pawn again, and at the end of the day, I end up in a position where I do end up losing my last pawn. I'm just kind of playing on instinct here, and just like a last like Hail Mary type thing, I go rook f5 for no reason, more or less because I'm tired. And yeah, rook f8 was wrong. If I really wanted to play for a draw, I could have done something like this, but no matter what, I lose. No matter what, I lose. It's just this is over. Unfortunate, but yeah, this happens, and he promotes to a rook just for fun. Rook d7 and checkmates me. Yeah, I didn't play too well this game, but hopefully I can get better in the future. A little bit sad to be covering losses, of course, but you know, you got to do it if you want to get better. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you guys found this entertaining, instructive, whatnot. You know, good evening and good night.